Welcome back. I'm Bill Berry, and this is the ATU Grievance and Arbitration Steward Training class. The good news is that this session we're going to be talking to you about your skills as an individual steward, kind of what you need to do, how you need to change, and how you can build the union. The bad news is that there is a ton of homework. I have posted a dozen or more documents about steward skills, and you really need to read them and understand them. And if you want to file a grievance, go ahead. So what we're looking at here is your skill as a steward. You are the key to building the union. And one of the things in the organizing model is that the union is built from the bottom up. And as a steward on the floor, in the department, on the buses, you are the representative of the members. And so you have this great responsibility, this great opportunity to build the future. Now, in order to do so, you've got to be multi-skilled. Yes, you have to be a lawyer. You have to be able to understand the contract. You have to know the steps of the grievance procedure. You have to understand what arbitration is. You have to understand how laws may overlap the workplace. But you also need to be a doctor. That is, you need to be able to tell people how they are. And I often said when I was a staff rep that I was a doctor, because when a member comes to you with a problem, they want to hear what they want to hear. And that's often not what's real. And so you, as the steward, are what I call the doctor. You tell them what is fact and what is going to happen. And then you can both decide what you want to do. You're also a PI, because you've got to go investigate. You've got to find documentation. You've got to find witnesses for cases. And you have to evaluate, because often a member will come to you and tell you a half story. As a PI, you have to go out and find the rest of the story, and then make a decision based on all the facts. And then sometimes you have to be the doctor and come back to your member and say, it was not as you told me, we have to do something different. Obviously, you're an organizer, and that means communicating with your members, getting them to participate in various activities, supporting each other, reaching out to the community, reaching out to the riders. You sometimes have to be a parent. They have to tell other stewards and members kind of what they have to do, give them that good advice. You sometimes have to be a nag, and that means people who will agree to do something, for example, to get information or to find documentation. You have to nag them till you get it. And finally, sometimes you're a confessor, because often members will have problems which are not related to the workplace. But you as a steward are considered to be the most important person, and so they'll often come and tell you things. Sometimes the confessions that they make affect their work status. For example, people with absentee problems will often tell you that they're a result of problems at home, possible addiction problems, or other situations. Obviously, as a confessor, this is confidential material, and you want to make sure that whatever anybody tells you is kept that way. You're also going to have to go through some personality changes, because you're now going to represent all the members. And there may be members in your group that you don't like for whatever reason. And it was okay when you were a coworker to not like them, or not talk with them, or not want to sit with them at the lunch table, or not want to deal with them. Now you're a representative of the union as a steward, and you represent them. And so you have to treat them with respect. You have to listen to them and treat them equally. And this is a very, very difficult challenge for some stewards to overcome. And you're going to see in the homework several articles on personality changes for stewards. And I urge you to read them carefully, and look in the mirror and see how you deal with all of your coworkers. You need to be a friend to all members. That is, they need to have confidence in you. They need to know you on a first-name basis, not as a stranger. And this means proactively going around the workplace, introducing yourself to everyone, making sure that you say to them, how are you doing, how's the family, how's the route going, things like that. You also need, as a part of a personality change, a constant upgrading of your skills. Now, we often talk about the workplace and the training that we get where we upgrade our skills to deal with new technology, different buses, different routes, things like that. The union is exactly the same thing. Just because a generation ago a steward was able to do a grievance in a particular way does not mean that we can do the same thing today. Things have really changed, and so we are constantly needing to read books, take classes like this, watch videos, trade information, so our skills as a union steward are updated. And finally, and I apologize to any of you who's not a football fan, we do down, distance, time, and field conditions. That is, you need to look around and see, is this the right time to really push an issue? Is their company bidding on a new contract? We had a situation where several locals in Philadelphia in 2016 were able to settle grievances in anticipation of the convention there, because they knew that this would be a big issue. So now, as I said, there are many articles for you to read, and so please do so. So what are some of the roles of the union steward? You have to know the contract, and I mean know the contract. And you're going to see in your homework articles about important sections of the contract. You're going to see different areas on leveraging contract strength. And you have to enforce it. That is, don't let situations slide. Don't let a company say, oh, well, I forgot, I won't do it again, and then they do it again. You have to evaluate possible grievances, both proactively and reactively. And by reactively, I mean when a member comes to you and says, the company violated the contract in this particular way. They didn't pay my overtime, or they didn't assign me to the route, they treated me badly, my supervisor cursed me out. All of those things are reactive. That is, the company has done something, and then we respond to it. Proactively means looking around for issues that'll build unity among your co-workers and will deal with the problem before someone. And with the great changes that are happening today, with the way fares are connected, with the way we're undergoing surveillance, there are always opportunities to create new issues. And we need to be aggressive and positive about picking these up and going after them. We need to organize around these grievances for greater leverage. And we've talked about this before. Make your members visible. Either do a group grievance, a group activity, reach out to the community, reach out to the politicians if you have issues, and create a movement. As a steward, you need to create the union communications network. You need to have every one of your members on text, email, Twitter, Reddit, whatever it is that's going to work, so that you can communicate with them and they with you. This does not mean you have to have your cell phone on 24 hours a day and be available all the time, but it means that when something happens in the workplace, a grievance is settled, a grievance is raised, an issue comes up, that you can tell your members what's going on, and they can tell you what they think about it or what they know about it. It's a great opportunity with electronic communications. You act as the face of the union in the workplace. And one of the most controversial areas is this means you have to be one of the best workers in there. Because people respect good co-workers. And if you come in late, if you miss time, if you're not around when you're a steward, it reduces the value of the union in the eyes of the members. They think, oh, if this guy's a steward, the union is no good. So you really have to step up. You have to appreciate that you're the face of the union. You have to reach out, for example, to other groups in your workplace. We have now very, very diverse workplaces. People with different languages and different customs. And as the union rep, you have to respect all those, recognize them, and work with them so that they all feel that they were equally members of the union. As I said, you had to promote fairness and equality on the job. One of the biggest differences between a union job and a non-union job is fairness and equality. Because in a non-union job, those terms do not exist. Everything is the boss's favoritism and the boss's unlimited power. And the union contract takes that away. You want to give your coworkers greater strength by uniting them. And yes, there are differences. We are torn between age and race and seniority and skill and sex and politics and everything else. But keep them with an eye on the prize of better conditions at work, better contract, better benefits, better pay. You finally have to help members develop confidence when dealing with the boss. That is, most workers are intimidated and companies run huge programs to try and develop the skills of managers to intimidate workers. You have to go in and show them that we are equal, because that's what the union contract says. And we're going to act like it. And we're going to be smart, and we're going to be proud. And finally, you have to organize the non-members in an open shop. And everything we do, how we handle grievances, how we do contracts, how we do community activities, how we do organizing, always has to focus on ways to make these movements exciting so the non-members will join. Because as long as you have a non-member in your area, your job as a steward is not complete. All right, so go read some of those stories about the stewards in the time of the cholera, leveraging and lawyering, personality changes for stewards, and we'll be right back.